Today Baba is teaching us how to keep our record fine. And you see that when it's time to go back, what will we take with ourselves? Just our record. And what is our record? The karmic record that we create. While I'm playing my part in this drama, I create a karmic record. And I take that with me when I go back. And Baba says it's very important to keep that record straight or fine. And the method to do that is to have regard for yourself and regard for others. Do you have regard for yourself? Because if you don't have regard for yourself, you cannot have regard for anybody. That's the law. So, Baba says if you have regard for yourself and regard for others, then the record will always be fine. Now you see that when we talk about regard, so regard is a personal dharana which makes you not cross the line of respect. Yes, so that's called regard. So when you don't cross the line of respect, that's called regard. Now, what is regard for the self? So you see that I have self-respect and I do not do anything that makes me doubt myself, or I do not cross the line which makes me, doubt that I am a pure, peaceful, loveful, powerful soul, or that I am a child of God. And Baba in the Murlis always explains that Maya made us lose all our self-respect. And how did Maya make us lose our self-respect? When we do anything against our own essence, our essence is love. But if my thought, word and action is not loveful, then I am doing something against my essence. And then in crossing that line, what do? I lose my self-respect. So Baba says, if you have regard for yourself, then you will not do anything against your essential nature. Yes, you will not allow your sanskars, you will not allow the situations, you will not allow the environment to impact you in such a way that you do something which is against your essential nature. And that is called having regard for yourself. So, when you have regard for somebody, you will never cross the line come what may. Similarly, you never cross the line with yourself, which means that you never think, speak and act under the influence of vices. Because when you do that, then you lose what is called self-respect. And have you seen that? Just think about a scenario where somebody says something rude to you and then you also behave equally badly. And then later, which one do you regret more, their behavior or yours? So, when you sit with Baba, not other times, because other times Maya is active. But when you sit before Baba, then your own action is what makes you feel bad. And that means that you're not able to, and then when you try to sit in self-respect, I'm a pure soul, then your heart is not with you. It tells you, how can you be a pure soul when you said these words or when you did this act? So this is why it's very important that you don't cross that line of being, peaceful, loveful, respectful, or being in self-honor and not acting under the influence of vices. And Baba says that that is how you keep your record straight. Because when you have self-respect, then come what may, you don't do anything which you regret later. And it's your karma, your karmic account that will go with you. So you have nothing to repent later. Yes, situation came, situation went away, but you didn't lose any part of you. So that keeps your karmic account or your record fine. And then having respect for others or regard for others. Now you see that every soul is different, and every soul is, they have different sanskars, they have different capacities, and what makes you speak or behave or think disrespectfully about somebody is your own expectation. Yes. So have you seen that when we are in relationships, we don't even observe what the person is. We are so fixated with making them who we want them to be. Yes, even if there is a child and you see that child is behaving in a certain way or talking in a certain way, then you're not listening to what they are talking or how they are behaving, but you are always trying to tell them, don't do this, do that. So we don't even observe what is the sanskar of the soul. We are so, blinded by our own expectation of who I want them to be, that I'm always telling them, you be this. But I have no interest in really seeing who they are. And Baba says that, when we deal with souls, the only soul I know is myself. And that too, not my original self. I know my sanskars, right? So the only soul that I know is the acquired sanskars that I have. And then I want everybody to fit into that, that frame of my sanskars. And the only kind of people I have regard for is those who have the same sanskars as mine. And those who don't have that, I have no regard for them. But the thing is, you see, your sanskars, which you take so much pride in, they are also acquired sanskars. And then you also don't know what your original sanskars are. So we are a work in progress. And then the acquired set of sanskars of every soul is very different. And if you are looking at anybody from that filter, that you must fit into this frame of who I want you to be, then you will be highly disrespectful of who they really are. Yes, and I remember that there was this one brother, he told me that my child is 16 years of age. So so that's physical age. He was mentioning that he's 16 years of age, but he talks like a 12-year-old. Okay, so he said, and I always keep telling him that now you're 16, you shouldn't be so childish, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't talk like this, or you shouldn't be interested in these things. You should be interested in the stuff that 16-year-olds should be interested in. And then he doesn't listen to me. So I said, he doesn't or he can't? So he said, what do you mean? Of course he can. So I said, who said he can? You are listening to him. He is speaking like a 12-year-old. So he's a 12-year-old, according to you. Okay, so whatever your criteria is. So he is that person. And what you are speaking to him is about a 16-year-old. And obviously he is not in that wavelength to understand that. So he is not getting what you're saying. So I said, but how can he not get it? So I said, that's how we are designed. Not everybody is you, not everybody is me. We are all different. So he cannot understand what you are trying to speak to that version that you have in mind of a 16-year-old. Because he is at a different level, he is at a different, way, he is at a different vibration, he is at a different wavelength. And you are speaking to him all day and there is no communication between you. He says, no, I am talking to him all day. So I said, you are talking, there is no communication. Because you are talking to the one you have in your head. You are not talking to the one who is in front of you. You are not even seeing him. You are not even hearing him. You are not even acknowledging that it's okay that he is who he is. So you see that we have, how can we have regard for somebody when we fail to understand that every soul is different? And when you see a soul through the filter of your expectations, then 90% or 95% of the time they are not fulfilling your expectations. And then what are you doing? You, in many ways, verbally, non-verbally, you're trying to tell them that there is something wrong with you. What you're doing is wrong. And that is very disrespectful. Somebody always telling you there's something wrong with you, or you are wrong, or everything is wrong about you. That's very disrespectful. And then you think that they will give you respect. That's never going to happen, because you receive what you give. So Baba says we must have self-respect, and come what may. I don't cross the line of being, talking respectfully, being loveful, being accepting, and I have to uphold these virtues within myself in order to be respectful to somebody. Okay, you don't understand somebody, no problem, but who gives you the permission to shout at them? Or say you're wrong, or say there's something wrong with you. So, that's not okay. And Baba says that you don't cross that line of respect with anybody. If you don't understand somebody, it's okay. You understand that they are playing their part, good for you. Why are you so fixated with your expectations? And then when you disrespect somebody, you don't put anything right. It's not going to, solve anything or set anything straight. But what it's going to do is spoil your own karmic account. Because they are who they are, and they will continue to be their present self until, the drama and Baba and whatever is their destiny, they will continue to be that one. And then, but the sign of love is you give them the support, the environment in which they start growing into the best version of themselves. And that is the sign of love and respect. Love and respect is not about forcing somebody to be who you want them to be, but very tenderly giving that environment, giving Baba's teachings so that they can be the best version of themselves. But do you have enough self-respect to be free from expectations from everybody else? So, the highest form of self-respect is that I'm with Baba and I'm okay with everyone and everything. But if I'm not in that place, then how can I respect somebody for who they are? I will always try to push them, force them, insult them into being who I want them to be. And that is when our record is set wrong. And do you know that as you progress on the spiritual journey, slowly, gradually, you will start understanding that souls are really different, and their minds function differently, their intellects function differently, they have different sets of sanskars, and when you start understanding these things, you will have a lot of guilt and repentance about how you behaved with somebody because you were ignorant. Yes, and I remember there was this one Mata, and she said that, Didi, my child, ever since childhood, he was very, he was very, what do you say, adamant about everything, and whatever we asked him to do, he never did that, and we beat him up, we shouted at him, and he didn't focus on studies, he didn't do this, that, and we really behaved badly with him, but we never thought we are behaving badly because we thought this is how you put him straight, how do you train him, or how do you discipline him, what's the other way, this is the only way, we knew only that way. But when he was 17, there was a psychiatrist who came and lived in our neighborhood, and then he diagnosed him with schizophrenia. And when he diagnosed him with schizophrenia, and then it took us some time to understand. For 6 months, we struggled to understand what is he really saying. But after we understood, we thought what kind of monsters we had been to this child who was struggling with his own mind and his own brain. And do you understand that every soul these days, until and unless somebody is labeled as depressed or anxious or schizophrenic or this or that or bipolar, we keep loading them with the burden of our expectations. But once somebody else comes and tells us, okay, this one has this problem, so then we start, going into guilt that I behave like this and this was not okay. But don't you really understand that everybody, there's a spectrum of psychological disorders that are identified and labeled, but there is a huge spectrum which is not yet labeled. But because if you start labeling every sanskar as a disorder, then there are as many disorders as there are people. Because all our Ravan sanskars that come from Ravan Rajya are basically disorders. So as many as there are souls, so many are there disorders. So even if somebody is not labeling it, don't you understand that, every soul has limitations and they are struggling and they have their own, psychological problems and everything. So Baba says, your job is to never cross the line of, being loveful and respectful to everybody. So, and of course, you understand that somebody is not, somebody doesn't fit into the criteria of, you giving them a certain big responsibility or giving them a certain, certain inheritance, then don't do that. But you cannot cross the line of being respectful. So again, it's not like everybody is struggling, so you give them everything. No. If you think that somebody is not able to use what you are giving them, then don't give them. Don't give them that thing or that, basic facilities. Apart from that, don't give them if you think they don't deserve it. But that is about, giving them facilities or something. But don't cross the line when it comes to giving love and respect. So love and respect is universal. You have to give it to everybody. And of course, about giving, powers and position and responsibility, or, and you also have to learn how to work with every soul. Some souls, you give them direction, they do it very well. Some, they need help. Some need constant, guidance. You have to be with them and make them work. Somebody is different in some other way. So you have to be wise enough to see what is the quality of the soul and how do you operate with them. And in that manner, you cooperate. So Baba says that this is very important to understand. Otherwise, you are not able to change anybody's karmic journey, but you are only spoiling your own. And when you keep doing that, at the end, you will have a lot of enlightenment about what this is all about. And at that time, there'll be a lot of repentance because the karmic record is so bad. And so Baba says that this is very important to understand the subject of regard. And then today Baba also talks about business. So, when we are in the household and there is some work to be done, something to do so that you can fend for the body. So children usually ask Baba, can we do business? And then Baba says, you can do business, but that business should be royal, not dirty business. And dirty business means what? So dirty business, Baba gives the example that dirty business is about, selling alcohol or cigarettes or stuff like that. And you see, Baba gives us so there is a karmic account created when you do business. So a business is not just about physical profit and loss, but there is a lot of karma created in a business. And if through the business you're selling something which is making somebody alcoholic, then that's not keeping your karmic account correct. And you see, if somebody is into that business, and Baba says that alcohol and some other stuff, they attract all vices. And I remember there was this one brother, he told me that when I am under the influence of alcohol, I cannot differentiate between my wife and my sister. And it was very appalling to listen to. Because you see, what he is saying is, your lust is at its peak. And you're not able to, your buddhi is not. So you see, at least even in Ravan Rajya, so in Ravan Rajya, we don't understand virtues, we understand vices, and then those vices also, you have selective, what do you say? You select the vices. So, where to be vicious and how much to be vicious. So that is according to morality. You've set a standard for yourself. And do you know that when somebody is under the influence of alcohol and drugs and stuff, their moral fabric is also broken. So we are not talking about spirituality, we are not talking about being viceless, but even that selection of who to be vicious with, that is also not there. So that moral fabric is also not working. So just think about, and you see, moral fabric means that discernment in you. You see, so when we are spiritual, we know no anger means no anger, right? But when we are not spiritual, we don't understand, we don't know Baba, we don't know the difference between vices, virtues. Then also we understand that, okay, yes, anger, but not anger with elders, right? Not anger with small children. You understand that much, right? But when you are under the influence of some external vyasan or addiction, then you don't even understand that you can't shout at elders. You do that also, because that thing which that morality also which stops you from being selectively vicious, even that is not working. Yes, at least we so if somebody is under the influence of alcohol and stuff, they don't know that you, even if somebody is going to lust, they don't know how they are hurting somebody, and people commit grave crimes in that in that frame of mind. So Baba says that you must be very careful about the karmic account you are creating, because these things attract all vices, and even the moral fabric which keeps you a little away from vices, that is also not working. So that is making, we are not, Brahmins are a different category, but what you call human in the world, that also changes into a monster when somebody is under the influence of alcohol. So Baba says that Baba says you mustn't do any business which promotes these things, or that's not good karmic account. And you must have some yukti, some method through which you come out of that. And then you see, there was this one person, and he said that so he had this hotel, and in that hotel he used to rent out by hours, and that is all lust business going on in the hotel. And then when he came into Gyan, he said, I would stop operating my hotel like that, and I would only give it to professionals who come on professional visit, and this way. So you must understand the karma that you're promoting through the business that you're doing. So, and in this day and age, most businesses are riddled with this kind of karma. So lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed, they are promoting, and mostly lust and anger. And Baba says that is a very vicious karmic account that you are helping somebody create. So be very careful about that. Or even when you rent the house, then who are you renting it to, and what kind of activities are going on there. Or when you are selling something which is directly promoting viciousness. So Baba says Brahmins don't do these things. Yes, and then you see there are many Brahmins who so Baba, in few Murlis back last week, Baba talked about keeping having pets, especially dogs. And you see, I know there's one Mata and she has a dog and she cooks meat for the dog and serves him meat. So then she said, but the dog needs it. So I said, I'm not questioning whether the dog needs meat. I'm questioning whether you need the dog. So, so if you think, you see, the dog needs meat is not the question. The question is whether you need the dog. And why do you need the dog so badly that you have to cook and serve that which is against Srimad? So why are you doing that? So this is how, Brahmins don't understand the karmic account that we are creating. So, you hear so much literature about, killing and violence and promoting that violence because you're eating it and stuff. And then you are doing the same thing, but you're doing it for the dog, which is even worse. Yes, so Baba says that this is how you have to be very wise in making the choices about what business you do, how you conduct yourself, whether you keep pets and stuff. So because these are not easy matters, these are matters which create grave karmic accounts. And I remember there was this one brother and he actually had he was into the alcohol business and that was a big business he had inherited from his father. And he told me, Didi, I never went to school. So I don't know anything else. And this is the only thing I have inherited. And now Baba tells me this is not good karma. What do I do with it? So how will I fend for my family? And also I said, okay, so if this is the thing, then you start with doing what you can. So you start remembering Baba, you start reading the Murlis, you start following purity, and then Baba will give you some yukti. And do you know that after some time, there was a boy who he had trained, and he said, I will buy the business and give you the money. So he was working there and he offered a very good amount and he said that you sell it and I will buy it and I will run it. And then he took that money and he started some other business. So you see that, but that took a long time. It took around, I think at least 6 years it took. But those 6 years that brother did really good tapasya. And he had it in his heart, that intention that I don't want to continue this business. And that opportunity came after 6 years and then he did some other business. So you see, Baba will give you the yukti also if you have that honest heart. And just like I told about that brother, it was not even about greed. He had no skill, nothing, and he couldn't get a job or anything. So he said, if I could get a job, I would leave the business today. But even to do some other business, I need money. I don't have any. So that is how it works. So Baba says that you must, as a Brahmin, you understand that it's not profitable. It's rather a very loss-making business if you're doing these things. So refrain from it and keep your karmic record straight. And then Baba today warns us that when we fall under the influence of vices, then all that we studied, all the specialities that Baba gave us are lost. Yes, and have you seen some Brahmins? Yesterday you saw them, they were very nice and wise, and today they have lost everything. They are speaking in a manner which makes you wonder, did they ever read the Murli? Did they ever know Baba? And why does this happen? Because when you fall into vice, then all that, the treasures that you had because Baba gave them, they are lost. And Baba says one must be very careful of this. And you must never forget that there are 63 births of the burden of vices in me. And what sin has a soul not committed? We have done everything that's possible under the sun. And that's why, just because today we found Baba and we made some effort, don't let your guard down. Always know that you have to be very careful with your own sanskars and pay attention to Srimad. Tread very carefully. Don't deceive yourself by saying, oh, I know, I understand, I will not fall into the trap of Maya. No, everybody can. So Baba says, this is by keeping up your discipline of remembering Baba, daily murli, daily chintan, manthan, upholding your virtues, paying attention to being loveful, respectful. These are very important, because you don't know when Maya will cheat you, and as soon as you're off guard, Maya cheats you. And then you can't even recognize who you were becoming and what you became. So Baba says, never forget the burden of sins that's on us, and never let your guard down. Always pay attention to your Purusharth. Always be aware that until the end there is Maya and you have to be careful about it. Okay, Om Shanti.